In this lesson, I want to discuss particular ascending fiber tracts or sensory pathways. Remember, ascending is going to come out from the body. We're going to have touch, reception, some sort of sensory reception. So we're going to go out into the body to detect some sort of particular any kind of sensory reception. In this first one we're going to discuss the one that takes care of fine touch. And this one will come through what we call an area of the posterior column pathway. Now, I'm going to give you guys an idea of where this pathway sits in the spinal cord, seen on the bottom. And if I kind of draw this, if we're on this area, the spinal cord, this area here in the white matter, this part of the white column, this would include the posterior pathway as we would go up from the spinal cord into the brain where we can integrate these particular sensory information. So I'm going to erase that, and we're going to bring in using red to come in with fine touch as it's going to enter on the right side of the body. So imagine that we have a fine touch sensation that comes in. It's going to enter into the root and cross over here into the dorsal root ganglia. I'm going to draw a red dot there for the cell bodies in the dorsal root ganglia, as that does take care of sensory reception. The first order neurons that will bring this in, and what you will see, it will cross in front of the posterior of your posterior gray horn and into your posterior column for the posterior column pathway. And this will run all the way up the posterior column pathway to the midbrain. So there it will stop, and it will transfer to the second order neuron. I'm going to use a yellow arrow to follow this. Now, what actually has to happen, it will cross over in the nucleus gracilis and cross into the medial lemniscus. As it crosses over, and it will go up to this area here called the thalamus. So this one we can call spinothalamic. Now, if this is fine touch, say this were fine touch in the finger, that we had touched and have a sensory input on the finger, then if you guys remember a little bit about the homunculus, you may remember that will go right about this area of the brain here. So we're going to use black, and we're going to take it from here, from the thalamus, and we're going to go out here to that next area. So this is what we call a spinothalamic. It goes from the spinal nerve into the dorsal root ganglia, crosses in front of the dorsal gray horn or posterior gray horn, into the posterior white column, up to the nucleus gracilis, crosses over to the medial lemniscus, up through the brain, through the midbrain, to the thalamus, and seen in orange, where it will then be integrated out towards the part of the brain, to the homunculus, where it will be used to register sensory reception to that part of the body. And this concludes the posterior column pathway diagram, and I hope you find this is a helpful tool to study how we integrate sensory information as it comes into our bodies.